Have you ever pursued something so intensely you lost yourself along the way in the process? I call this Moby Dick syndrome. Realizing it's happening is not so obvious. And when this syndrome takes us over, it's going to likely drag us to the bottom of the sea. This video is about how to prevent Moby Dick syndrome from happening in our own lives while enjoying the process of achieving those great career outcomes that we deeply desire. Hi, my name is Shawn Sommerkamp, and this is Motivationeer Christian Coaching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you can be reminded of each new video I post, which is actually twice per week. The novel Moby Dick was written by Herman Melville in 1851 while he was living in Pittsfield, Mass. And if you haven't ever watched the 1956 movie version, you can find it on YouTube. You can actually rent it. I highly recommend it. It's really funky. The moral of the story is where we'll start. Ahab, who's the captain of this whaling vessel, gets intensely obsessed with tracking down one big white whale. Even though Ahab is doing very well, meaning he's catching a lot of whales for his business in the part of the ocean that he's in, he hears about the white whale in some other sea. So he leaves all of the opportunity, the immediate success he has, to go chase the white whale. And as the story goes, he gets so obsessed with getting this one whale, he's willing to sacrifice his entire crew, and yes, ultimately even his own life. In a previous video I did on this channel called Future You, I introduced the following concept. Never sacrifice long-term growth for short-term gain. This is what Ahab did in the story. By going after the whale, he was willing to sacrifice all of the long-term potential, his future, just so he could get the glory of getting that one whale. In this case, it was for revenge. That doesn't necessarily apply to what I'm talking about with our careers today, but we do this as well in our own careers, professionally. Here's an example. Let's say you're in sales. I know I've done a few other videos recently about sales, but let's say you have a huge client and you're trying to close a deal with this client. And if you do, this one deal is going to allow you to reach something like 75% of your annual quota just by landing this one. So you devote all of your attention to jumping through every hoop that they put up. You're going to do your best to try to pull in this one big fish. Or another example, let's say you're looking for a career change, or you're unemployed looking for a job even. You pick out a handful of companies that you really want to work at. You apply to a handful of jobs at each, and then you get involved in the hiring process. You start interviewing to the point where you really get your hopes up for this one big one. In fact, all of your prayer is focused on this. You start telling everybody you know, please pray for me for this one. This is the perfect one. If I can get this, it'll just be amazing. And what happens in both of these examples? If we don't get that big client to land or that big job opportunity, we get terribly discouraged. In fact, our ambition kind of nosedives. It hits rock bottom. Our energy level tanks. We don't feel like doing anything. And this is what always happens. It just does. I've seen hundreds of times where very successful, very talented, very intelligent clients of mine that don't end up getting that thing that they were really pursuing, the big white whale. For some, it even affects their faith. They get it in their head that God is either working against them outright or disciplining them or saying, yeah, I don't want you to go over there, and shutting doors. They get really wound up about it because this thing that they deeply desired did not come to fruition. There is a simple way to ever keep this from happening. And yes, it takes some work, but it's a very easy concept to understand and deploy. And we find the truth in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verses 3 and 4. If the clouds are full, they pour out rain upon the earth. And whether a tree falls toward the south or toward the north, wherever the tree falls, there it lies. He who watches the wind will not sow, and he who looks at the clouds will not reap. We don't know which way the tree is going to fall. It's just ultimately really part of God's plan. And if we watch the wind, how the wind is affecting that tree, what happens is we stop sowing. We stop planting seed. That means we ultimately are not going to reap anything. So what do we do instead with the wisdom of this scripture? We focus on activity and not the outcome. I'm going to repeat this. We focus our efforts on the activity, the planting and the sowing, not on when we're going to reap the outcome. So in the job search example, apply to 3 jobs a day. Find many whales and don't look at any of them as white whales. Then, if one of them falls through, you're not going to be crushed by it. Why? Because you got a lot of other whales that you're chasing. In the sales example, keep your sales funnel filled with many clients. We don't want to treat one like a white whale. Then, if one of them gets away, we have many more opportunities. We won't just get emotionally wound around one outcome. In fact, we don't want to ever attach our emotions to any career outcome, ever. It's about falling in love with the tangible process and not fantasy results. When we focus on the activity, the outcome will follow. It just will. And because we're not getting wrapped up emotionally around one outcome landing, we're never going to get dragged down to the bottom of the sea. We'll always keep our spirits up, our faith in God, our energy high, encouraging others along the way. And when we have that high level of energy, people are going to want to keep doing more and more business with us. I would love to hear your thoughts about this approach, so please leave some comments down below. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for 2 new videos each week. Tell me in the comments below about your career situation and I'll make a video for you with a shout out. You can also become a member at motivationeer.com. Your career is not just a way to make a living, it's a way to transform the world.